Monday. It is October 14th, so you know what that means? Let's get into Proverbs chapter 14. The first one that stood out to me was literally verse 1. He came in swinging. So let's talk about it. It says, the wise woman builds her house, but the foolish pulls it down with their hands. As we grow in our faith and as we grow as God is calling us to grow, I think that we can all take a step back and kind of see this happening and how it's unfolding for us right now, even just reading the Proverbs. The Women's Study Bible that I use, which I got comments, which one do I use? It's linked in my bio if you're interested in. It's this one right here, but it's also linked. But the Women's Study Bible spoke to this when it says, a wise woman builds, and the fact that this woman is called wise indicates that she fears the Lord. She builds her house, making her entire household thrive because she's learned that wisdom brings the happiness and prosperity that she desires for her family. The wise woman cares for her home, causing it to flourish and become a haven for those who live there. Focus on her marriage, knowing that intimacy does not help happen naturally, but it must be developed. All buildings take time. Picture brick by brick until it's sturdy. A safe home is constructed. In contrast, a foolish woman does not build. She tears down both her possessions and her relationships. She destroys her own efforts with her hands, her tongue, her idleness, and her lack of interest. It's okay to take a moment there and reflect on times that you've been the foolish woman so that going forward, you can ensure that you are being the wise woman that Proverbs 14 verse 1 is talking about. In reading that, I know I took the time and thought about both scenarios because I can definitely call out situations where I was that foolish woman, definitely calling it out. And so it's okay to meditate on those times, think about them so that way going forward, you can make better decisions. But we do need to hold ourselves accountable and think about our past so that way our future is so much better. Okay, so number 4, where no oxen are, the trough is clean, but much increase comes by strength of the ox. So again, Women's Study Bible, she looked out on this one, okay? Because it says in their cliff notes, it says, there's no progress, there are no problems, some disturbance is necessary for growth and accomplishments to occur. The next one that stood out to me was verses 6 and 7, where it says, a scoffer seeks wisdom but does not find it, but knowledge is easy to him who understands. Go from the presence of a foolish man when you do not perceive him, the lips of knowledge. Now, for me, this is reminding us of our heart posture, because if we are saying that we're ready to learn, but with every opportunity we get for knowledge or wisdom to come our way, we rebuke it, or we don't want to pay attention to it, or we dismiss it, we are not growing. So in order to be wise, we need to understand that soaking in knowledge is going to be easy for us if our heart posture is right. So this is just a reminder for me to make sure my heart posture is right when I receive constructive criticism, when I receive feedback, when I receive people telling me, oh, you know, you could do this better. I need to take that in a way where I'm not dismissing it. I mean, of course, you take some things with a grain of salt, but overall, you should want knowledge to come your way. You should want to grow as a person. And if someone has a perspective out of love for you, be willing to accept that. Honestly, just love 26 to 27. So I highlighted it because I just loved it. It says, in the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is the fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. You guys know I'm walking in a faith journey right now. I quit my job in March. It is now October, and I quit my job because God told me to. But in this process, you know, there is a level of uncertainty. I am a single mother. Of course, I need to be confident in the fact that I can pay the bills next month. But knowing that I'm leaning on God, and knowing that I'm trusting him, and knowing the path that he has for me, because he told me he has a path for me. He told me he knew exactly what he's doing for me. And while I may not know the plan today, I know that God called me to do what I'm doing today, and I have confidence in him. So we talked about before, fearing the Lord doesn't mean being scared of him. Fearing the Lord lets us know that he has us taken care of, that we reverence him as high. 29, he who is slow to wrath has a great understanding, but he who is impulsive exalts folly or foolishness. And when we're looking at the Women's Study Bible, it gives a cliff note on that. It says, patience is the evidence of wisdom. And one thing kids are going to do is teach you patience. And as I'm growing in my spiritual walk with God, and I ask them for patience, baby, I look back on situations like, girl, you did not snap off like you used to snap off. You growing. And we love to see the growth. As a reminder, it gives us that reminder that being slow to anger equals having a great understanding, being patient. Because when you're impulsive and you're making impulsive decisions, when you always snap off when something happens, or you're quick to anger when situations happen, that lets you know that you need to work on your patience. And there's nothing wrong with it. We all have been through that season. And honestly, patience is something that you keep growing. So we are always in this season of learning patience and learning how to act as godly as we possibly can. We're always in those seasons. There's nothing wrong with it. I do want to tell you, you ask God for patience, He's not going to play about giving you that. He's not going to play. But you're going to look back and you're going to say, okay, I can definitely see the growth. Not least, verse 30. A sound heart is the life of the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. Why does it stand out? I talk to you guys on my podcast a lot. My podcast, Becoming P31. If you haven't heard it, check it out. I talk to y'all on my podcast a lot about the spirit of comparison, because it's something that I've dealt with for a really long time. Comparing myself to my past, comparing myself to other people. But a lot of that sometimes is rooted out of envy, because envy, the Women's Study Bible says, begins when contentment is interrupted by the awareness of advantages enjoyed by other people following determination. So what that's saying to me is I might look at situations where someone is thriving and I can see what they're getting, what they're gaining. And I'm just like, I'm happy for them, but I'm also very jealous. And then I start comparing myself. This is something that I deal with personally. I don't know about you. This is what I deal with. This is what God is working on with me. And this is a reminder for me that it is healthy. It is healthy to be content in the space that you are, where God has you. Heavy on where God has you. It's healthy to be content in that area. Keep thriving and keep growing. But when it turns into enviness is rottenness to the bones. It is going to ruin what God is working on you with, and it will not allow you to achieve the capability, the level that God is calling you to achieve. If you're envying other people or comparing yourself to other people, because it's going to make you think down about yourself, which is going to dim your light, and you don't want to do that, because God is calling you to different levels. And one thing that God was calling me in this season and in my past seasons is He was telling me, your story is not going to look like theirs. And He kept repeating that to me so that I could understand that my journey won't look like theirs. So where I think I should be because of where they are, my journey's not going to look like them. And it shouldn't. I may not be up here. I may be called to be right here, but I need to be content with where God is calling me and stay there and stay happy with that until He calls me to elevate. Make sense? That is my overview of Proverbs chapter 14, and I will see you tomorrow as we discuss chapter 15. Bye, y'all.